The Cleveland Cavaliers have been the single easiest team in the NBA to handicap this postseason. I mean, really. If you just played on the Cavs in every home game and bet against the Cavs in every road game, you've won every bet but one this entire playoffs. And Cleveland won the game that they didn't cover. So the Cavs perfect at home and imperfect, winless on the highway. What does that mean for Game 5, and how should we approach it? Let's talk about it. Teddy covers WagerTalk.com with a big game breakdown for Wednesday night NBA action. I do want to let you guys know right here, I have a 5% big ticket play on this game tonight on the total. I'm 7-3, 70% full season with my 5% big ticket reports this year in the NBA. I am 42-21, 67% over the last 5 years, counting every 5% play in the NBA. In the NBA playoffs, I'm at 58% plus over the last 5 years. I've won 3 straight coming in to Wednesday's action. So 5% big ticket tonight on my homepage, www.buzz/TC, or visit WagerTalk.com to get on board. I expect to win. They've been very profitable for myself and my clients. And of course, I'm giving you guys my opinion. And obviously, that's so the 5% big ticket is on the total. So I'm not going to talk about the total. I don't know if I'll give it away as I talk about the side, but that's what we got going for tonight. Again, rare. I've only had 10 of them all year. I've gone 7-3, 70% with the 5%. And obviously long term, again, over the last 5 years, 42-21. I don't put out a lot of these. 60-something plays over a 5-year span is not a lot. This is my strongest release. Check it out. Again, www.buzz/TC or the website, WagerTalk.com. Enough with the hype, enough with the promo. Let's talk about the game itself. Cleveland has been as easy as it comes to handicap, right? The question is, what does that mean moving forward? The markets aren't adjusting. We're seeing the same basic number for Cleveland, Detroit in Game 5, as we saw in the first 2 games of the series. The Pistons were -3.5 in Game 1. They were -3.5 in Game 2. Here, they're -3.5/-4. So maybe it's a little, there are -4s out there. Again, looking at the odds logic live odds screen, -4 total here, sitting in the 212.5, the 213 range. There are 212. There's some variance on the total between 212 and 213. But from a side standpoint, 3.5s and 4s out there right now. There is one prominent 4 at Circa. 4.5 at Circa here in Las Vegas. Circa is a book that tends to cater to sharper bettors. That being said, some of the global books aren't showing the same enthusiasm for Detroit. I'm not showing the same enthusiasm for Detroit either. And again, I talked about this conceptually in this series, but you watch these 2 teams play. The Pistons play really hard, all right? What the Pistons were able to do in game number 4 in Cleveland was, when the game was out of reach in the last few minutes, the Pistons just swarmed the Cavs and made things interesting if you had Cleveland minus points. That kept you watching right through the final buzzer of that ballgame. But the Pistons' level of defensive intensity is impressive. It really is. When Detroit plays D, but from a total standpoint, when they play defense like that, also leads to fast break runouts the other way and easy buckets, coming off of turnovers. The easiest shots in this series for both teams. Detroit had 20 turnovers in game number 4. And that set up a lot of what the Cavs did when Cleveland went on that big run to open up the third quarter. Detroit's turnovers were a big part of that. And for that brief period of the game, the pace was very fast. And obviously that ended up cashing over bets as a result of it. But it's certainly a scenario for Cleveland and for Detroit in the sense of, do we expect to see that level of intensity on defense for the Pistons 40 minutes? If it is, it's Detroit. And Detroit has shown in the, when Orlando scored, what was it? I forget, 19 points in the second half. That's what it was, 11 in one quarter, 8 in the other. When Orlando scored 19 points in the second half against the Pistons, that showed clearly what Detroit's defense is capable of doing. And when the Pistons play like that, it's really hard to score on them. That being said, when Detroit turns the ball over, you can move on the ball quickly. And Cleveland has enough shot creators that they can handle that pressure when they don't turn the ball over, and obviously when you're putting that much pressure on the ball, if you can get the ball, if you can swing the ball around, you're going to get people open looks. And the Cavs, again, I'm not going to say they took full advantage of it in game number 4, but down the stretch when Detroit was playing some ridiculous defense and then Atkinson put his starters on the bench and put it back in the ball game, it was a scenario in which once the starters came back in, the turnovers basically stopped. But Detroit's level of defensive intensity is, I would say, second to none of any team in the postseason. When Detroit brings it on defense, it's really hard to score on this team. That said, I look at the Pistons, okay, and I think that Cade Cunningham's as good as anybody. If I'm drafting between these two players, or between these two teams, Cade Cunningham might be the number 1 pick. Really might be. After that, I'm taking Harden, Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, before I take anyone for Detroit. We saw Karis LeVert play really well off the bench. He was questionable. He didn't know if he was going to play in the game. And he came in and had a big monster game, was pouring in buckets in the first half. We saw Tobias Harris, who's been, having the playoffs of his career. I mean, really, Tobias Harris has been as good as anyone this side of Cunningham for Detroit here in the postseason. So, when they got a random contribution from the bench, they got another strong game from a guy who's been their second best player this postseason, but didn't matter. All right. Cleveland is the better of these two teams. And I genuinely believe that when all's said and done. Now, Detroit may be hungrier and they may be the team that's capable of, where they were, again, the Pistons were in this round last year. They lost that series last year in which they lost every home game. And then this year they came in and lost that first home game in Orlando. And since then, they've been pretty darn good on this floor. And obviously, Cleveland has been atrocious on the highway, both here in the postseason and the regular season. And yet, when all's said and done, and again, that's why I'm playing the total in this game, not the side, I continue to think the Cavs are the better team. I've bet the Cavs to win the series after game 3. I wanted to make sure they could win 1. And then I bet the Cavs to win the series. I invite my clients to bet the Cavs to win the series. And if I'm playing game 5 on the side, it's Cleveland plus, not Detroit minus. Stepping in front of the trend, stepping in front of the angle. And I'll tell you what, I'll do it again in game 7. If there's a game 7, if we need to get there. But if the Cavs win this game, I would not be surprised they win in 6. If the Cavs lose this game, I think they'll go back home and beat Detroit again, and we'll get another opportunity in Game 7. And I think Cleveland will finish this postseason with at least one road win. That has me thinking, if you want to take the Cavs to win this series, now might not be a particularly bad time to do it either. So there you have it, guys. There's your big game breakdown for Wednesday's NBA playoff action. Again, check out my homepage, w.buzz/TC. 5% big ticket on this game tonight. I know the baseball has been really good as well. So appreciate the likes, appreciate the comments, appreciate the follows very, very much. Best of luck with all your bets. Stay tuned right here on this channel for more quality video content from WagerTalk TV. And have a great day. Cheers.